welcome to my channel. My name is Erin and I'm obsessed with books, and if you're here, you are probably obsessed with books too, or at least obsessed with TV shows, because that's what we're talking about today. I should really change it to I'm obsessed with stories, because my obsession goes a lot further than just books, although that is my main obsession. Movies, TV shows, anything with a really good story, I'm there, I'm all over it. So today we're going to be talking about my top 10 favorite TV shows of all time. This list was kind of hard to put together. It's hard to narrow down all the TV shows you've ever watched to 10, and even then I'm probably missing some. As you probably have done also, I've watched about 1 billion TV shows in my life, and I love almost all of them. There are a couple that I hate. That would make an interesting video, but today we're talking about them. They're in no particular order. I'm just gonna name them all. I'm not like naming them from my least favorite to my most favorite. That's not what I'm doing here. I'm just saying a bunch that I love and why I love them. I am a little bit basic when it comes to the first one we're gonna talk about. I am obsessed and have been obsessed with this show for as long as I can remember. Friends. Friends is the best. It's the best. It is a classic. It has aged so well. It is so beautifully done. It is so much fun. The characters are so likable and they're so flawed and they just make me happy whenever I watch them. And most of my daily conversations with my sisters is pop culture references. And about 90%, maybe 85% of them are Friends references. Up at number 2, we have Grey's Anatomy. I love Grey's Anatomy and have loved Grey's Anatomy for a long time. I don't love the latest seasons. It kind of ends at season 10 for me. I think they're on season 15 now. I did watch the first 3 or 4 and then decided I was done. A lot of the characters that I loved left the show, and then it wasn't the same show anymore, so I decided to just step away. But that doesn't take away from the integrity of the first 10 seasons and how much I loved those 10 seasons. I learned so much about character development from watching Grey's Anatomy. I just love it. It's such a good show. If you like medical dramas, if you've watched things like Scrubs, you should really try Grey's Anatomy, but stop at season 10 if you want to avoid having your heart broken too much. Even now, I go back and I binge watch old seasons that I've seen 100 times over. I just love rewatching them and reliving all the feels because they never actually go away. Number 3, this is not popular because people just didn't seem to notice it. It was released on Netflix, I think it was in 2018. It was a mini-series, so it was it didn't have time to gather a huge fan base, but it didn't need to be anything more than a mini-series because the content of those, I think it was 7 episodes, was so unbelievably good that it has made the top 10 on my list. I go back and I rewatch it over and over and over again, and it never ever ceases to get me. It's Alias Grace. Honestly though, mind-blowingly good. Mind-blowingly good. How does no one know about this? The acting was sensational. It was just unbelievably good. Most of you probably won't have watched it because people just didn't know about it. Our character Grace, who was convicted of murder as a young girl, and she claims she didn't do it, and there's a doctor who's coming to speak to her. He's like a psychologist in nowadays, and he's trying to determine what really happened so that she can either be pardoned as not guilty or the story finally be cleared as to whether or not she did do it. It is one of the best shows I have ever watched in my whole life, 24 years of existing, and this show with 7 episodes, and that's it, is one of the best shows I've ever seen. Sorry, RIP headphone users. If you haven't seen it, it's on Netflix. Go and watch it. And the coolest thing is, it's based off a true story. Up at number 4, we have, no surprise to anyone, Game of Thrones. I don't care how much the last season hurt me. That show was phenomenal. The acting, the cast, the performances, the setting, the plot, the writing up until season 8, it was just so good. I can't fault it. I just can't fault it. Yes, for me personally, the amount of nudity gets a little bit to the point it's just okay, put them away and let's get on with the story. It did get that point for me at season 1 to 2. It kind of plateaus out after that and just goes down. It's more plot-based, which I enjoyed more. But it is absolutely sensational. I'm sure you've watched it. Basically, everybody has watched Game of Thrones. Except for my husband. He's watched 2, maybe 3 episodes of Game of Thrones in his life. I will do a video about season 8 and how I felt about that and why I'm still bitter about it. What's it, a year, 2 years, I don't know, later? It's time to talk about it. It's time to vent our feelings. That still doesn't take away the fact that the first 7 seasons were absolutely brilliant. Number 5 is the show that got me to stop crying about Game of Thrones, because HBO released it not long after that final season that hurt us so badly, and it captured all of our attention again. Again, it was a mini-series, Chernobyl. Extremely intense. And at times hard to watch. The episode with the animals, that was really, really hard for me to watch. It is so well made. The visuals, the script, the score, that music. Like, you never got a chance to stop and breathe. And again, it's based on a true story. Seeing the emotional journeys that these people went through with this horrifying thing that happened to them, where they had no control, they couldn't even speak about what was going on, what was happening to them because of fear for their lives, got me. It really got me, and I think it got a lot of people because everybody was raving about it at the time. And it made me go and talk to my parents because they were alive when Chernobyl happened. They were living in South Africa, and everybody was afraid in South Africa because this thing had happened in Russia. Even though they were that far away, the impact of what happened still had an effect on them. I really loved that I could watch it, gain a perspective of what was going on with them, and then go talk to people who were experiencing it on a different side of the world and what it was like for the world in general when this happened. Moving on to number 6, this show has recently been cancelled and I would like to protest. I'm actually really upset about it because I love this show. And with an E, I just loved it. It was so beautifully done. It was magic. It had that wonderful magic that you get when you read the book. I don't understand why they cancelled it. Bring it back. Bring back Anne with an E. Save Anne with an E. The writing was good. The acting was really good. It was relevant AF. There is still so much story to be told. Can we please just bring it back? Please. Number 7. I think there are only 3 seasons of this so far, but it was so good. I think they're coming out with another season at the beginning of next year. The Crown. Again, I love that it was based on, closely to true stories, because obviously we don't know about the ins and outs of their inner conversations and their inner thoughts. We don't know that. That's fiction, but it's based on truth. The cast is excellent, absolutely excellent. I still haven't gotten used to the new Elizabeth. I'm getting there. I like the new Margaret. Helena Bonham Carter as Margaret is really, really good. I'm really excited to meet whoever's going to be playing Diana. That is going to be for a very, very interesting season. Number 8. It's a show that I haven't watched the last few seasons because the first ones were so perfect to me and it started to change that I decided to just keep the first few perfect, so I would just not watch those and just hold on to these. And that show is Vikings. Those first few seasons, if you've watched it, you know that you probably have guessed the thing that made me kind of stop watching it after a while. Although I did watch about a season after this event, but then after that I felt like I was done. I'm being cryptic because I don't want to spoil it for any of you who haven't watched that part yet because it is crucial to the story and I don't want to ruin it for you. It's an incredibly good show. Again, based on real life. Ragnar Lothbrok was a real person, and yes, the story is fiction. I like that it's based in reality. Before we do the last 2, I'm going to do some honorable mentions that were honestly incredible. And I should have made this list a list of 20 because they deserve to be on the list, but I'm going to keep them as honorable mentions before we do our last 2. Number 1, The Good Place, Vampire Diaries, Umbrella Academy. We only have 2 seasons so far, but I binge watched both of them with my husband and we had a grand time doing it. Number 4, Stranger Things. Number 5, a classic from my childhood. I loved One Tree Hill and I still do love One Tree Hill. Next, Brooklyn Nine-Nine was this close to making the top 10 list. Next, the original BBC series of Pride and Prejudice. And my last honorable mention is American Horror Story Coven. Back to the top 10 list. We have 2 more to go. Number 9, How to Get Away with Murder. This show is unbelievable. Holy crap. That first episode is a little slow. You have to push through it, and you will be happy you did. I think they've finished the final season now. I haven't watched the last episodes yet. I mean to, but I've been so busy. Viola Davis, she's one of the main characters. She is unbelievably good. She's like, I know she's good in everything, but she just takes it to a whole new level with this character. For those of you who haven't watched it, she's a defense attorney and she teaches a class at a university, and she's got a whole lot of students who she hires to come and work for her. And they get up to some really sketchy stuff. If I would have fault anything about it, it'd be that you never have a chance to rest because every episode is a cliffhanger. But it makes it so binge-worthy. And finally, coming in number 10, The Office. It's just one that you can pop any episode on, watch it, and then you'll feel happy. It's one of those shows that just lifts my spirits. And for that reason, it has to make the top 10. Is it one that I've been like in love with for years and years and years and years? No, I was not introduced to it until not that long ago, maybe a year or two ago. It'll make you smile when you're having a bad day. Let me know if you love any of these shows too, if they're any of your favorites that I missed that I should go and watch. I'm always looking for a new show to binge watch, even though I probably shouldn't because I'm so busy with writing a book at the moment. Speaking of which, if you want to watch me vlogging about writing a book, there are 3 episodes up already and a 4th one coming out in a couple weeks. So if you're new here, hit the subscribe button and you'll be notified when I post new videos. Thank you all so much for watching. I'm Erin. I make videos twice weekly on this channel about books and stories and all the crazy things that go along with that. And a lot of ridiculousness. We play a lot of games and it gets really stupid, but I love it. I will see you all in my next video. Bye!